Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I really wanted to talk about this here, and that is some stuff that happened in episode 1 of season 2. Now, I don't know if it's like officially confirmed or anything like that. This isn't really spoilers or anything like that. It potentially could be. I'm just going based off of what the panel was talking about. Like yesterday, there was a panel after they watched episode 1, and I think there was some discussion about season 2 episode 1. There really wasn't a lot. It didn't seem like they really wanted to get into spoilers really at all, but I did want to talk about an aspect to this episode that a lot of the early reviews, a lot of the early reactions are sort of talking about, and I think is something that honestly is going to be so powerful for The Walking Dead. And I really want to talk about this because it's been something that's been on my mind all day. I did a video earlier sort of talking about some of the early reaction and whatnot, but I really want to talk about Carol and Sophia's storyline and why I think, bringing that back up and talking more about some of those aspects there, I think would just be really important for Walking Dead fans, because it was something that when you go back and you really look at the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, Carol and Daryl's relationship in season 2 was something that really was something that was very special. And obviously, it was because Sophia was gone at the time, but the episode with the Cherokee Rose, that whole scene there, first of all, that was the start of Daryl becoming a fan favorite, but Carol's storyline there with Sophia going missing just early in season 2 was such a big storyline. The reveal with Sophia, with the barn and all that, was such a big episode that there was a lot afterwards that, yes, we did touch on, but there has been a lot that really has not been really said at all throughout the entire series of The Walking Dead. And I think that based off of some of the early reaction here anyways to season 2 episode 1, they're actually going to be going back to that quite a bit and really, going into just Carol as a character and really exploring just Carol in general and, obviously her relationship with Daryl, but also just her past and just Sophia and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot that I want to talk about here. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. This next week's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing, obviously The Boys is premiering this Thursday, and then next Sunday is going to be House of the Dragon. So expect a lot of videos on that. I actually am going to be rewatching House of the Dragon season 1 this week. I know a lot about the Game of Thrones universe. I know a lot about Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It's just been a while. And Dance of the Dragons, I remember a lot of that story still. House of the Dragons season 1, I watched all of it. It's just I want to it's hard when you do videos and you forget one thing because everyone points it out. So yeah, I want to go back and rewatch it just to have the best memory I can possible for my reviews and all that. And also videos breaking down the trailers and just other topic videos with House of the Dragons and The Boys. And obviously we'll cover The Walking Dead and all that, but it's going to be a really big focus here because I'm so excited for this season. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that because I've been getting a lot of questions just about that kind of in general, aren't you going to be covering that? The show's going to be so big this summer. Yes, I will be covering that, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's talk about this here. So I've been seeing a lot of reaction online to season 2 episode 1, and a lot of it is because season 2 episode 1 is such a big episode that is really focused on Carol. And based off of the panel and sort of what was discussed there, it looks like it may actually be regarding, I don't even really know, honestly. I'm just sort of combining all of it together here. But there were some early reviews that mentioned that Carol sings a song. I've been seeing people post some stuff like "You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine," like that song. So if Carol is singing that song, I mean, that's a very, it's a very common song to sing, especially if you have kids and whatnot. And I just wonder if that is a connection with Sophia, if it is something that Carol sings just to sort of, maybe calm herself in very stressful situations. Again, that song is a very beautiful song, and it just her heartbreak over losing her daughter and all of that. I just really, honestly, when you really look at the last however many years of The Walking Dead, and yes, you're not going to focus on that all the time, but I feel like they ignored some of that. You know what I mean? The Sophia aspect to Carol's story. Yes, it was always there. There was always a context to it, but there was never a lot of mentions to it. And I think it was more just the writing and some of the bigger stories. Again, The Walking Dead, I feel like at some points kind of got away from that. I'm not saying it was all bad, obviously. There were some really big storylines that, you need to focus on some other things. And I think that happens in life as well. You sort of start to focus on, a lot that's going on in your life. You kind of forget about some of the more personal stuff that you're kind of going through, right? So I don't really have issues with that. But my point is they haven't really talked about Sophia in a very long time. There hasn't been a big storyline where we've just been so focused on Carol or certain characters. And I think that's why these spin-offs are excelling so well, is because you're focusing on the core cast, the characters people really care about, and you're going more in depth with the characters. I think for a long time, people really felt like, well, we know these characters so well now. Like, there's nothing new to learn about these characters. But these spin-offs are kind of proving that, no, that's not true. We are actually learning a lot more about these characters, and they're going, the characters are starting to feel different things, this and that. So if she's singing that song, if she's concerned about where Daryl is out there, if there is a Sophia flashback, and this is the exciting part, is like the possibility of them actually doing a Sophia flashback would just be absolutely incredible, because you got to picture like, well, what would the scene be? I mean, you can't really, I guess you could recast the part for around like the farm arc, but I don't think you necessarily could. Like, maybe you show some scenes from there. I know they've done really fun editing and stuff like that, especially like Michonne's final episode with a lot of stuff. But I feel like if anything, you're going to do a flashback to like way before that, to when, maybe Sophia was like 2 or 3 years old or something. And this is like, a couple of years before the apocalypse, right? So something around there where we saw what Carol's life was like, and maybe that's connected with the song or something. Like something like that, man. Oh, people are going to be like, it's going to be one of the best scenes in the world. And I really do mean that, because, and this is where I wanted to bring up The Walking Dead and sort of its emotional story, and how fans over time, since like 2010, since the show came out, have sort of felt about the show. And I know I've been a fan since then. Well, since like 2011, 2012. Well, 2012 mostly. That's when I first started watching it, and I have not missed a Sunday since. Like, I really have not missed a Sunday of The Walking Dead since then. So I just remember, the story back then was about survival. You followed Rick Grimes and the Grimes family story. Like, that was the big part of season 1. All the other characters were there, and they're really great characters, but you didn't really get to focus on a lot of that, right? But season 2 introduced a new storyline where they found a new place to stay, but then Sophia went missing. And that was the big storyline. Really, that's honestly the main storyline of season 2. There's some of the Rick, Shane, and Lori drama that sort of stems from that because of, their, I guess, debates over leadership and all of that and whatnot, and just how, Shane's death happens at the very end of season 2. But the main storyline of season 1 was Sophia's death. And Sophia's death was the episode where, for me, when I was watching The Walking Dead, the very first season and then all the way up to that moment, I was like, I don't want to say it's a very generic show, but it was like, this is just like, it's a good TV show, whatever. Sophia's death and that reveal and how shocked I was told me in that moment that this is something special. The Walking Dead is something special. They really know how to excite an audience. They really know how to handle all of this here. And that was the moment where I was like, this show is incredible. I need to watch every single week. And that really was the episode that did it for me. It was season 2, episode 8, I believe, right? Really, really phenomenal episode. Maybe it was season 2, episode 7. I don't remember. It was around there, but it was just such a phenomenal episode. And at the time too, like, this was like the biggest reveal in the world, right? Like, this reveal was something that people they weren't really expecting. I don't think anyone thought at the time that Sophia could be in the barn at the farm. Like, there was just no hint at that, because you just thought like, well, she's out there somewhere, but she was in the barn the whole time. And they built up this whole story with the farm and the leadership there, all this tension growing between Rick and Shane, and what to do about walkers in the barn. And Glenn found out, and they're having all this debate with Herschel. Herschel wants them to leave the farm. They don't want to. Like, just everything there, it all came together in that one moment where it became so clear to a lot of characters of like, okay, we know what to do next. But then for some others, obviously it got very complex, and then just really built up to the end with Shane's death. And again, it was just such a great episode that, like, rewatching season 2 and that build to that moment is incredible. And this was also at the same time as this was happening, Carol was becoming a very, very important character in the franchise in general. Daryl as well. Daryl before this was just kind of a side character. Like, he really wasn't anything. Like, he was just kind of there, and you just felt like, well, he's just like Merle or whatever. The Cherokee Rose scene changed everything. And for me personally, when I saw that scene, I was just like, there's something to this character. He's not like his brother. He's a different person, but I think he's being persuaded to stay in this sort of, just attitude, or just the way that he grew up, right? Like, he had to sort of live a certain way, but he's not that kind of a person. And we've seen over the years that Daryl is definitely not that kind of a person, right? But the Cherokee Rose scene and just that whole storyline there with Sophia was really the first one, besides all the Rick, Lori and Shane drama. This was the next thing here where it was like, whoa, there was another emotional element here to the show. And that's, I think, really, I mean, from what I remember, that was the moment that Daryl started to become very popular. Like, it was just, that moment was big, and it just kind of built, you know, going into season 3 and then season 4, and he was just like a fan favorite. By the time season 4 came around, he was such a big character. So I look at The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2, and I just think that it's something that if you bring those aspects back to it, you really focus on Carol and Daryl, you can really get back to the heart of The Walking Dead, which I'm not saying the other spinoffs haven't done, but it's just another lost element that they haven't focused on in really a long time, right? And that just makes me really excited for season 2, just in general, episode 1 specifically, because Carol is in the episode so much, right? And I'm just so excited for that. Like, the flashbacks that they can do, and that's the thing, they're gonna do these flashbacks. Like, Dead City brought Simon back, right? Like, these shows are doing really incredible flashbacks to stuff that is worth seeing. You know, it's not flashbacks for the sake of flashbacks. It's stuff that it's like, this actually is really incredible. This is a really incredible scene to see. And it's really, like, as a Walking Dead fan for the last 5-6 seasons of that show, it's like they didn't really try to explore or develop the core cast as much. And it was because they had such a big cast. But, like, I'm not even saying that this scene happens, but imagine there was a Sophia Flashback scene where it's, I don't know, maybe Ed comes back, right? That would be incredible. Obviously, because of just, you know, the actor and the flashback scene in general, I don't think anyone likes Ed. But to have a scene like prior to the apocalypse, to see what Carol's life was like, you know, when Ed was there and Sophia, and like maybe just something there that connects to, you know, like she was just fighting so hard back then and, you know, needed strength, this and that, and something that she's, you know, still dealing with to this day, and she's looking for Daryl and she's concerned about Daryl, because that's a whole aspect to this too, right? It's not just like this whole like, oh, this is the Walking Dead universe, and so, you know, Carol's gonna go there and save Daryl, you know, everyone's like superheroes. It's like, no, I think that's the one aspect that, you know, people are starting to not like as much with The Walking Dead, and I think they're starting to go away from, which I think is very smart, which is these characters aren't really superheroes. I mean, they try to be, they're trying their best. They are trying their best, but they're not like Marvel characters. You know what I mean? Like, I talk about that a lot, I know, but like, they're not Marvel characters. They're like real human beings. And I think going back to that, you know, and just focusing more on just the realistic, you know, I guess what life is like there in the apocalypse, I think it's just incredible. And so I'm excited for season 2 of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol. That's such a long title. And I see people constantly pointing it out. And I'm not going to point it out. I'm still using The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2 as like, that's how I reference the season, just because, and the reason why is like The Book of Carol, to me, it makes more sense if it was called like The Walking Dead The Book of Carol. The problem is it's not that. And if you call it that, you're ignoring the fact that there is a continuous storyline from The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. To me, there should have just been a different title. I know there was a production name like Raise the Dead or something. I don't know if that's what that was, but if that was what it was, I think that's a better title. Just go with that. And this way, this would be like Raise the Dead season 2, even though that is kind of a weird title. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to go with season 3 here, because obviously, like, you have the Book of Carol there because you're going to be focused more on Carol. But with season 3, it's probably going to be more equal in terms of like screen time and all of that. So I'm like, are you going to focus on someone else? Like, what is the story of season 3 going to be? Because they're filming season 3 this month. Yes, it hasn't been officially renewed yet from what I remember. I don't think, yeah, it hasn't been yet. So, which by the way, I feel like that's probably coming at Comic-Con, but yeah, anyways, they're going to be filming that this month apparently, so I'm excited to see, I guess, some of the updates there. There might be some spoilers there, which obviously I won't cover, but yeah, I'm just excited. I really cannot wait for the Book of Carol and what we can actually get with that storyline, because I feel like there's so many aspects to the Walking Dead universe that people just forgot about over time, right? Like, if you remember back in the day, Rick Grimes wasn't even that popular. Like, obviously he was up there. Daryl Dixon and like Carol and Michonne as well, like they were all becoming very, very popular around like season 3, 4, 5, around there. And like Rick was always there, but like he was always just like the stable factor of the show kind of thing, right? Like he was just sort of the main guy that you follow, the leader, but everyone liked all the other characters around him kind of thing. I'm not saying no one likes Rick. Like, Rick is like my favorite character, so I'm not saying that. But the other characters just got very, very popular, and I feel like, you know, a focus on that again would be really awesome, right? It's amazing. It really is amazing when you really look at the core cast of The Walking Dead and just how popular, how amazing all of them are. Like, they all have amazing strengths, right? Like, they can all really hold a scene on their own, and I'm excited at the fact that The Walking Dead can actually, like, do all of this successfully, and I'm so happy that the spinoffs happened. It's crazy to say, but I'm just so happy that The Walking Dead actually ended, like the original series, because these spinoffs are just so much better. It's so much more exciting to talk about. I mean, there's an element to the original series where you liked talking about the Walking Dead cast as a whole, and like, you had Alexandria, some of the stuff from the comic. There was some exciting parts to it, but with character stuff and all that, it just felt like you were never going to get certain things, and it really felt like a puzzle back then. It was just like, well, you have these characters doing this and that, we're going into this arc, so this character's probably going to take this character's story, are they going to be doing this? It felt just very like we knew it was going to happen, and it was fun. There's a whole different thing just with what they're doing here, and I think the most exciting part here with Daryl Dixon is the showrunner and the writers for the show. All brand new. I don't think anyone from Daryl Dixon is from The Walking Dead or any of the other shows. Like, I'm pretty sure they're all completely brand new, and that was something that Norman Reedus wanted, going into the show. It's like all brand new writers. I want to, that's why Angela Kang wasn't the showrunner. I think Norman Reedus wanted just a different vision, a different feel or whatever with this show, which I think creatively, just going into it, obviously I think was a smart decision. And I just think, well, I don't know if it was Norman Reedus. I shouldn't say it was him, because I actually have no idea. Literally, there was some mention of something back then when there was, creatively, they were just trying to change things behind the scenes, which is, it happens with all TV shows. So yeah, it makes sense. Angela Kang did amazing things with The Walking Dead, right? So I just and she also reached out to me when I was going through a really hard time, and that was something that she didn't really have to do. Like, she didn't have to do that, and she did that, and it really, it helped a lot. So yeah, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, I'm very, very excited. I really cannot wait to see just any more from this show. I want there to be a teaser trailer dropped very soon. I want to see some more stuff. Like, it's been kind of quiet since the panel and all that, but I think it's just because it's the weekend. Expect a lot of reviews and stuff that drop this week. Like, tomorrow's Monday, so there's probably gonna be stuff that happens tomorrow or just throughout the week and all of that. There's gonna be, everyone's working on the reviews and all that right now for this episode, right? So yeah, I do have a lot more stuff that I do want to talk about, though. There was a lot more things that were sort of mentioned about episode 1 of season 2, including some of the walkie-talkie storyline with Carol and Daryl. So yeah, I want to talk about that. There is the shipyard not being related to the CRM. I want to get into that, and yeah, a lot more. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.